Hello and welcome everyone to the VCS English broadcast. It's week 4, day 1, and Team Flash is facing Team Wales today, as well as later on today, Team Box facing Inside Buffalo. My name is Quincy, and with me is the wonderful Mabinogi.
Hello. Hi. Yeah. Well, we've got a couple of good matches coming up today. Flash vs Wales, a sort of middle of the table split after a bit of a stumble from both teams in last week. Wales, especially going 0-2 up against Cerberus and Saigon Buffalo, which to me sort of signals a bit of a perhaps that bot lane that we were pointing as a weakness, kind of getting maybe perhaps exposed by our two best AD carries in the league last week.
And also in general, why Team Wales were basically in the position where they were like challenged to the point where are they a top team themselves or are they like a bit below the bag of that punch? And just now it seems to indicate that they are indeed a tad below that. Maybe just due to the bot lane not really being up to the standard of what Shogun and Taki can bring or what Artemis and 1OP can bring, with them having Vid and B, of course, who is a great star support. I mean, he's a reigning VCS champion. But on the other hand, Team Flash, their start looked kind of promising initially with them losing to Garmin. It's still looking kind of good within that loss. But overall, I mean, the score not really too telling with them being 2 and 3. The same score as Team Wales, however, they are down one game in game score. So based on that, you would favor Team Wales a little bit, but is that overall the picture that we want to draw here?
Yeah, I feel like you can line them up pretty comfortably. I think personally Flash has been pretty good where they are. They've taken series against SBTC and Team Secret, so they still have Box left to play later on this week, which should net them another win. But they also, on the other hand, are actually no, they've played pretty much against everyone else, all the top teams. So sort of just Flash and Wales both have one of those bottom two teams left to play. So this currently, if everything is right in the standings, this is pretty much the matchup for fifth. Really want to try and make sure they grab that spot, and because so they can push into playoffs if either SPTC or Buffalo sort of start to slip again.
Yeah, and with Team Flash, of course, we need to look at our star player Yoshino. Him up against Nagia this time is definitely a matchup to look out for, I guess. And talking about Nagia, he also not really having a very bad split on his own, right? So is he up to the task to neutralize Yoshino so that his bot side can carry the game?
Oh, yeah, I feel top lane quite possibly could end up as a bit of a wash in not so much in the sense that nothing can happen out there, but Nagia has absolutely been performing out of his mind. He's pretty much he's the highest MVP in the official rankings for Team Wales. He has had absolutely killer games. And even in their loss against Garm, he almost managed to carry it to a win in that game 3. And with how close that series was, again, we really thought Team Wales could be something, but Buffalo's back on the rise, and Cerberus really sort of showed them up in the bot side. So with I don't necessarily think top lane will be the breaking point. I'm much more interested in seeing how Putin can make a stand for himself, try and really show himself up as a big star player. Because I think Nagia has absolutely been fantastic, but so has Yoshino. So I don't see that really breaking one way or another without some jungle intervention.
Yeah, that's something that we're definitely looking out for, as well as, of course, the champion picks that they're really going for, right? I mean, we have seen both Nagia and Yoshino play a fantastic Renekton so far. That's something that the VCS tends to like quite a lot more than the broadcast, I dare say. Either way, still some picks that are left interesting to watch would be something like the Cassandra. We have even seen Foggy playing it in the mid lane so far, which is something that maybe
Yes.
we see later today, but probably not in the first series, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in the later series, we'll touch on the sort of mid lane tanks, but I definitely think Cassante. It's definitely been much more a Team Wales pick, and I think having that great performance on the weak side sort of laners has been one of Nagia's strengths, whereas Yoshino tends to pick a lot more, I suppose, carry top laners. If he's weak side, he is on like definitely you'll see him on the Renekton, but he's played a lot of Fiora, played a lot of Jace. He tends to be that big, try and be a big carry threat for the team, which, I mean, it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely understandable. He's one of, if not their best players, but it's a very different sort of style to what Nagira is trying to do. And in the current sort of patch, and I'm still not 100% sure if we have moved to 13.5. It might not necessarily be as big of a deal.
That's a good assessment, I think, especially considering the patch, right? Maybe we are on the next patch, maybe we are still on 13.4. We will see in a few minutes, I guess, when we roll around the draft. And of course, in the current patch up, a lot of ADC bans usually coming on way early in this draft. Like, for example, a Draven is often a pick that gets banned away, or something like the Ashe, which of course right now would be a support pickup, or Tristana, which is a flex between bot and mid lane to some extent. And this dominance of mid lane picks like Annie and Gragas, definitely a delight to see that we haven't seen in the last few years at least.
Yeah, and of course with the 13.5 changes, Jinx should be shooting straight back up in priority, and we have a lot of Jinx players in the VCS. I mean, with it being as strong as it was the past couple of years, you just sort of have to expect that. So
Every
I'm very
ADC has to play it.
Yeah, and of course Ashe nerfs in the support position should be still definitely viable as a mid lane. The Ashe Seraphine combo was busted out in the LCK the other day, and that looked really good. So I quite interested to see maybe the opportunity for Ashe to be flexed into that AD carry role and be a big utility carry for some of these players that aren't necessarily the superstars in the team, like Vic.
Yeah, very good name you built there. I mean, with Vid, it's kind of like the thing within the broadcast team. I'm kind of the devil's advocate on Vid's side, so to say. Maybe even the Vid's advocate, as he gets roasted a lot, and somewhat rightfully so, as I can of course admit. As he had this one series against, I think it was Slows and Zodiac, where he didn't really perform all that good, and was kind of the problem there. In general, I think he is not as bad as we say he is. So I think if he has a stable game, this could be a great team, right? Either way of that. Xayah is one ADC we haven't really talked about a lot. And of course, with B, the potential to pick something like a Belvev support is also not out of the question.
Yeah, but I mean, B has gone to this Belvev support a couple of times, and it hasn't really done, I think, what it's wanted to do. It hasn't looked terrible. It hasn't looked like the problem with the losses, but it's not winning. So I think that it'll be a little bit more useful as the meta shifts and Ashe and such get taken out of the meta, because we've mostly seen it picked into these super squishy lanes. I guess it's meant to be a part of a kill lane, but it's not getting these kills early, and it's just losing too much buff pressure. So yeah, I'm hoping for a bit more standardized B coming out. Like we saw his Braum in the matchup in the win they had against Buffalo, that game win. And B's Braum is a thing of beauty. It's one of his best champs. It's one of my favorite things to watch. But yeah, I think play a bit more standard, a bit less crazy from the whales, and it can actually work out wonderfully for them.
We're into draft. Let's wait and see what we have over there, as we see the first bans already rolling out. Same AD carry bans we always see. Caitlyn of Varus and also the Ashe support being taken away, as well as the Aphelios on the other side. And Annie gets left open, which is something that Wales pick up instantly. Now for the side of Team Flash, I mean, Wukong would still be up. They just now are hovering this Vi pickup. And I'm not quite sure if they should log it in, but they actually do, as Fukwon. I mean, it's Fukwon, right? It makes sense. I mean, Vi looked to be his most comfortable champion by far.
Yeah, Vi is just a pretty solid all-around pick. Gives you a bit of agency in the early game. So, can't really complain about that. And as we're going to see here, just, I guess, try and figure out where they want to land these next picks. An early lock-in for Yoshino seems to be the way to go. So, what does Wales sort of do to respond to that? You did maybe a bot lane lock-in?
We could maybe lock in the bot lane, or maybe lock in something like the Cassandra to play against the Fiora. But of course, I mean, Cassandra kind of tends to struggle against these duelist fighters type of champions, so it will be very hard, especially if it goes to the late game. So let's wait and see what Wales' options are. They have, of course, the Wukong still left open. Would be good against the Vi. I mean, you'd like to play against AD junglers if you play the Wukong due to his stone skin passive, making him deceptively tanky without really needing to build resistances. But they, as you hinted at, lock in the Jinx maybe right now already to go for the bot lane pickup. I mean, it's Jinx or Zeri, whatever they really prefer. I would rather see the Jinx here because she's not that reliant on the other supports. But they actually, of course, lock in Zarya, which is the strongest ADC on the patch. So that's even better than the Jinx.
Yeah, that seems really good. I'm pretty with that. Happy with that. Gives you the way to dodge the the Vi ultimate. Now, looking to see where Flash want to round it out. Probably grab an ADC of their own, given the ban priorities, but might just round out their top side. Of course, they still don't know 100% where this Annie is going, so still flexible options for Wales. And I expect AD carry bans to come out thick and fast for Wales from here.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have enough AD carry bans. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's only 4 out of 6 bans so far. I mean, we definitely need some more. I mean, Jinx could still be banned, Zeri could still be banned, and there would still be, like, I mean, there's so many ADCs in the game. However, they just now ban away the Akali against Team Wales, as Wales already locked their ADC, but, I mean, Wales definitely wants to shoehorn Polyn's champion pool right now, as that seems to be a very easy target so far. Jinx could be the next option, it will be banned away, and I also expect something like a Zeri ban to round it out, so all the S and even A tier AD carries are taken away. I like the Talia into Annie, if Annie is a mid lane pickup, as it would definitely work and outrange her, get the shove early, and then start to make some roaming plays around the level 6 mark where you can really affect this bot lane, this top lane, to snowball it in your favor.
Also appreciate this Rakan ban, taking away that big engage option from B, but still have to wait and see. Pudding will have first pick, Zeri banned, as you said. Probably think Lucian. Lucian springs to mind as the next obvious pick for an AD carry position, and that would sort of lock you into a Nami as well.
Yeah, I don't even remember from the top of my head what other ADCs could be left open here. I mean, Lucian seems to be the obvious choice, and that will be their lock-in. I mean, the Nami on the side of Sora 2 would also not be a surprise, as you just now said. But what is Wales really picking up? Wakal is not possible, it got banned away, so Zarya not able to play with her boyfriend, at least in that lane, as Nautilus might be locked in. I mean, it's a VCS staple, right? The standard engage support really coming in. Could be something that they will go for. They lock in Renekton for the side of... Like, yeah, they do, yeah. Renekton into Fiora. I mean, that's kind of tough, right? I mean, Fiora, if she times the riposte perfectly, she wins that matchup even early on. But in general, in early game, it's still a bit Renekton favored. But it is still a skill matchup, of course.
Turns out they do want B on that engage. It was, of course, always possible to move Annie into that position, but they feel comfortable with Nautilus, and the kill potential in that bot lane, if a hook does land, is absolutely huge. So they should feel just fine taking this matchup. There's the Nami as pretty much expected. So all in all, how do you feel about these compositions? Who do you think has the edge in the whole game, I suppose?
I think overall I like Team Wales drafted a bit more. I expect them to be the on-paper stronger team, but regardless of that, they have the more well-rounded draft in my opinion, with Renekton and Wukong being like the classic frontline divers, Nautilus to some extent as well. And yeah, of course Renekton could struggle against the Fiora pickup, and also the mid-game power spike from Lucian Nami needs to be respected. And but overall I think that they have the better tools. I mean, the Zarya Nautilus lane can also win the lane in the early game, with Nautilus letting some good hooks, and aside from that, Wukong against Vi is a fine matchup for them. I think that they have the tools to really make a huge impact with this, especially like Annie. I have seen Janos Annie against the Lucian, and that was something where the Lucian absolutely could not play the game.
Yeah, Tibbers is a great pick, able to just soak up that calling and make them feel a little bit useless for that pollution. But that in mind, that's still an angle. They still should have decent lane priority in that bot side with the Lucian Nami, you would imagine. And from there, maybe early presence jungle like the Vi with that bot lane could maybe try and snowball that through there. Perhaps a flash, maybe that's their game plan. Dragon's still strong? We're gonna see as we move on to the Rift.
Yeah. And now we move on to the Rift, and there we can see how it really plays out. I mean, with Team Flash especially, like, we need to respect that level 6 power spike, right? With the Lucianami bot lane as well as with the Talia, who could roam to the bot lane and make it a 4 versus 2 Fiesta. And Team Wales, of course, they are probably aware of that. I mean, they will have some plan in the back of their heads to really play up against that. Here we see the runes player by player. Nothing really too much out of the ordinary. First strike any kind of surprising me though, because I think range-wise should, in my opinion, struggle against Italia at least to some extent, so maybe Glory is a bit too confident over there.
There's something you're missing, and that is how the E interaction works. Because of Annie's reflect damage, it will if you manage to put your shield up, even if you lose out on getting the first strike, technically, you will always get the first strike, so...
That's unfair.
Annie kind of good. Annie kind of unfair. Yeah, that's why she's first pick worthy in pro play. Despite her being the baby's first champion.
She just presses E and then you just can't walk up and trade against her or what. I mean, that sounds not so fair. But either way, it's probably... I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, that alone justifies the first strike pickup. So I'm not really... I stand corrected on that, but that's what I want to say. As we see the junglers going for their first clear. Chicken start for Vi, not something that I see all the time. I mean, it's something that the Kane junglers back in the day usually started, but Vi, of course, with her AoE damage from the excessive force, or the relentless force it is called now, can of course clear those chickens quickly. And with that, both junglers starting on the top side, pathing to the bot side. Would expect them to be there at the minute 3 mark, but here we see level 1 hook.
Gonna be some trading back, but now we can perhaps take the worst of it as the range goes down, but large traded onto Pudding compared to B rather. Not a bad start for the Team Wales bot lane and helps them fight a little bit for control over here. But in the end, it's going to be a bit rough as Pudding will just be healed up.
Yeah, it will just be healed up, and due to the sustain advantage, the even trades would favor the Lucianami lane, but here we see the next hook again. And yeah, it doesn't look too good. And Xayah is so dominant, right? I mean, just from the first few levels, and she doesn't really fall off either. So Team Flash definitely needs to have an answer against that Xayah pickup to some extent. But Bit also used the Summoner spell, right? I mean, it was heals traded on either side. So at the end of the day, I think both bot lanes can kind of live with that, as we see in the top lane. I mean, Yoshino already dominating these first few levels on the Fiora against the Renekton. Ganatheto, this can be misleading. This doesn't just mean that the lane is over. Renekton in the next few levels can definitely make some room in that matchup on his own.
Yeah, once you start to see the full combo start to come through from Nagia, should be okay. Also, feeling like wants to play back, wants to play it a bit safe, knows his jungler is on the bot side, doesn't have full information on Vi, even though you can presume what she would have also done a red buff start. And now they will walk into each other, so bot lanes get to continue unharassed, as the junglers will just pass and say hello.
Yeah, just having vision of each other there, with the Scuttlecrab being taken by the side of Killer Queen, and Nagia took a bad trade there. I mean, that's not looking too stabilizing, as I was hinting at earlier. Maybe he can work it out on his own, but bot lane, still the next hook is coming out. And
he just keeps landing these hooks.
It seems like a ticking time that at some point Bit will just have enough damage to get the kill there. So it's not looking too good in the next few minutes for Team Flash bot lane. However, I mean, of course, they can heal back up quite a bit. But I mean, with the next reset, maybe it will be something playable. And Nagia almost dies.
Yeah, Yoshino winning out on these mind games with this repeated stuns. And Pudding just falls down. And that hook predicts the flash.
It's all over.
So cannot save, but the dive is here from Killer Queen. He's just going to quickly tank it up. And that's 2 quick kills to the side of Team Wales. They're feeling really happy about that one. B absolutely crushing it down bot side.
Every time the observer's panning over, we see B landing a hook, and here it happened again. Ignite ticking down. So, in this case, Pudding tried to flash it out, but it was just too late. Ignite's still enough to get the kill. As here we see it again in the replay. Also some good feather work by the side of Bit. Actually, we need to praise Bit more. I say it over and over. It was his blade caller that initiated it, and then flash out attack, another Q. B of course played it correctly as well. But this hook actually is not really on his own. That's something that we definitely need to credit Bit a little bit. That's his bot lane double kill was playable due to that. And I mean, of course, Yoshino winning top lane, but as I, as a top lane main, can verify, top lane in fact doesn't really matter. Bot lane is very bad.
It's not real. Bot lane, however, support, that's where all the action is, which is why I've continued to shift back into the role. But as we just keep saying, yeah, there's B and Vit have played these excellently. Great blade caller to set it up from putting in. The follow-up hook was great from B. Can't take that away from him, but absolutely Vit. He's on the Zaya now. He is playing very well, playing very calm, and working extremely well with B to try and put the hurt down. That blade call won't land, but there might be a bit of a kerfuffle happening near mid lane with the junglers. Vi lurking to bot side.
Yeah, Vi was looking to bot side, maybe trying to play with a dive or something, but I mean, the Vi not level 6 yet, the bot lane also not level 6 yet, and the wave can just be cleared easily by Bit and B, and they are surprisingly far ahead in CS numbers. I mean, this dive definitely caused the side of Team Flash bot lane, as they also missed some CS under the turret right there. And Glowy used Tibbers. I don't know what he used Tibbers for, but there it is.
I think for lane priority, as he was on a bit of a roam, but right now, just Tibbers gets to just scare off the mid jungle, and oh, that was another hook. Does not predict the dash properly from B. Does B from putting. So in the end, not much going to come from it. He is still struggling a little bit, but he's doing just fine in the grand scheme of things. Should
I was about to say.
Wave and be
It looks much better, at least for now. I mean, you could pick up this huge wave and would be even in CS, but here you see the next skirmish already pop up.
this
Fugis
fight is
to
going on.
die.
It is very deep, but Pudding cannot get into him. Killer Queen is there first, so is Glory, and it's a collapse on Pudding.
Oh!
Gia just turns it all around, gets the solo kill onto Yoshino. Yoshino doesn't even flash. Gonna have to see that one.
He probably just got Ruthless Predator with his riposte being down. Otherwise, I can't expect him not flashing away, as Fiora is quite of a mobile champion, and it's just... I don't want to say pack it up, go next, but it's looking close to that, as Team Flash just now lost both sides of the map, right? Yoshino, the one doing well, getting solo kill, but here we see again what the hell happened in this Drake River area. Hex flash auto attack to get the snare, ignite and everything, and they kill him with that, and Puddin tries to save the play, goes into the 1v3, but it's against B and Killer Queen combined. Not really the best situation for level 5 Lucian to be in, and he just died as well. I mean, just 3 kills on the bigger picture for the side of the Whales, and they also get the Drake as a reward. Team Flash is looking rough in this first 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and we saw Glory able to move in first, has had priority over this Talia for most of the game.
Oh, is he top lane?
See, it looks okay, but just
Dominus, Predator.
Quite get the. He even gets the ultimate.
Yeah, it wasn't even the Ruthless Predator. It was just the Renekton dealing more damage than the Fiora. That was basically it. She even got the healing dome. It was still not enough because Renekton level 6 just hurts.
Yeah, the Cyclone's going to come in, and that is also going to hurt Yoshin. Fuquan going to pay for the sins of his top laner. Yoshin is going to be able to scamper away. No need to burn the flash, but you lost your jungler in front of a Rift Herald. Glory going to take a chunk of damage, but should be mostly okay.
He got ignited.
There to support.
It was a spellbook ignite from Jane, I think, and Jane just wanted to cycle through the summoner spells anyway, but that ignite looked weird initially at least, as we see Killer Queen starting off the Rift Herald. Of course, with Fuquan being down, that's an easy secure, especially with Nagia's health bar being very, very strong-sided, as Yoshino had to go to the base, with him almost dying to that skirmish play earlier. So Team Wales just keeps snowballing. 4,000 gold ahead at 10 minutes. That seems insane, and we didn't even factor in the Rift Herald push coming through, also the first rake being on their side. They are basically winning everywhere, and so far I'm not sure if they even dropped the turret plate. I think they did in the mid lane, but in general it's about as perfect as an early game could be for them.
It's a bit hard to see. Can't quite read the turrets, but yeah, they are absolutely crushing this early game right now. Chemtech Drake will spawn in a few minutes. Maybe their Flash can find something. They have good pick tools between the mid jungle and of course this Nami. So now that 6 has come on through for the bot lane. Oh, never mind. Goodbye, Fook. Nope, sorry, Jane. Sorry, Fook. You're fine. You're doing all right. I just misread the pixels. That's a lot of. That's just more gold coming over to the side of Team Wales. This
Yeah, it's just,
loss of it funneled onto the Wukong, which is probably your only complaint.
and it's kind of the pick comp getting picked off all the time. It's kind of sad to see, as we see Killer Queen here. To some extent also threatening the dive, but they just go for the Rift Herald push, and also they get a TP out to prevent the dive from happening. This is so huge for the side of Team Wales. The charge goes through, it's still 2 plates despite it not being guaranteed anymore, and Team Wales probably happy with the way this turned out. Jane had the TP anyway to either mid lane or top lane, might as well go for the top lane TP, but now in the mid lane it's put in picking up the CS, picking up the experience, and he at least hits his level 7 right so far, but he's also very far away from this Gale Force Imperial Mandate power spike.
It's 2 plates on top side, but also some plate gold to Nagia on the other side of the map, being able to... Wales making that first rotation, giving them the opportunity to just walk it in and make sure they are getting gold on both sides, where Team Flash are overcommitting in response to try and defend. And right now, it's working out perfectly. That gold has gone up to 6,000. It's just slowly getting bigger and bigger for the side of Wales, and with a dragon coming up soon, and with this focus being shifted back to the bot side of the map, Pudding might have to be careful. He can clear a wave with culling, and Killer Queen spotted right now. Just waiting for the next move to happen.
Yeah, just Team Wales securing the vision around the Drake area. I mean, it's 1 minute before the next one. They can just easily secure this one ward they spotted with their own control ward, also using the sweeper. And having the vision dome from the scuttle crab around makes this next Drake uncontestable for Team Flash. I mean, they already are so far down in gold. I mean, even with a vision advantage, it would be very hard for them to contest this, as this would likely be Team Wales one to pick up. They can just easily keep farming into this game. World of Ages probably soon the next completion for the side of Glory on this Annie pickup, and this will be the time where he can really start stacking. It's probably a bit earlier than Talia, but Talia, of course, on her own will also go for this World of Ages item, and that's something that I haven't seen much. I mean, I know the item in general is just stat-wise completely broken, but lacking the utility that an Everforce would provide you is something that I haven't seen so far.
Yeah, it wants to be super tanky with Seraph's combo as well, and just making a quick play onto Jane, sort of forcing him away. Not so this bot lane this dragon should be completely free. Yeah, completely free from Wales. And top side, Fook is doing a bit of counter jungling. Can get away with that a little bit easier now, but still not really able to make things not really able to convert and really find anything with this top side, despite Nagia just pushing straight up. Oh, sorry, those changes haven't come in yet. It's still 13.4. Counter jungling still a bitch.
Yes. It's still kind of underwhelming, and just both junglers doing it, so it's kind of a null-sum game either way. We see the last platings falling on the bot side of Team Flash's bot lane turret, and they are also still toying with the idea of a potential turret dive, just waiting for the next wave, as Killer Queen would be around, but now he decides to back off, but so does Puddin, so it will be the first turret rewarded for Team Wales, and their insane gold lead, almost 6,000, will go even further. Should be around 7,000 as we finish that one off. Here we see it ticking in.
Pretty close, about 100 gold off. Yeah, so just absolutely insane. And they grabbed that, managed to pick it up just before the 40 minutes, so a little bit extra gold on top of it. And yeah, for everything just coming up, Wales right now still on track for that perfect game. Just gonna get that one out early. As you can see, 9 plates farmed to the 1 from Team Flash, so they managed to get something, but it wasn't a lot. And second Rift Herald coming up in just under a minute. You can see the posturing start to happen. Glory is backing right now, going to pick up that Rod of Ages, which will be a nice big spike of AP for him.
Oh, that corridor's deadly.
Needs some time. Ooh, Beak looking onto the wall.
Yeah, quick onto the wall, but gets a flash from Soa, so it looked more clownish than it actually was. It was in the fine plays I would suggest it, but not so fine from Team Flash. I mean, that corridor looked very, very deadly even early on. You shouldn't even be in this position to needing to flash in the first place, I would say. Either way, just one more Summoner spell being picked up, and also earlier, I mean, with Jane losing both Flash and the Weaver's Wall, was kind of just getting some pressure done, but he was in the
Oh,
skirmish.
just delete
What?
Fuquan. He just disappeared, and I was looking at map, thinking this could be an angle for Flash. We see Yoshino rotating first, no teleport on the gear. Nah, Fug just dies. No, no chance.
And this is a Vi with one item and the tank jungle item, and they made it look like a Yumi, like how squishy she was blown up, but it just took 1 second, and with that top lane turret being taken away, as well as the Rift Herald number 2 taken by Killer Queen, Team Rails is just stampeding over them. I mean, there's not really much to add, right? I mean, what's Team Flash really gonna do here? I mean, the sad thing is, right now, Lucian and Nami are power spiking, right? It is a Gale Force being picked up in the Imperial Mandate soon to be finished for Sora, but they can't just do anything, as Team Rails is just ahead everywhere on the map. I mean, where do you even start to initiate the play?
Yeah, they can't quite get it to happen. It's all outer towers down and a Rift Herald in pockets, so can use that to really force deep pressure coming up around this next Ocean Drake. There's a lot of there's pressure coming down towards the bot side, but Team Flash still just struggling, looking for anything. If they could find something onto Glory perhaps, but a ward spots them out, and they're going to call it off.
Yeah, something that I find interesting is the item build from Vid, actually, because he apparently hates mythic items. I mean, not even wanting to jab at him or something. Yeah, you do really need it. It's Bloodthirster. I mean, maybe he confused it with Sheepo. They look kind of similar, both crit and lifesteal items. And he just probably values this overheal plus Bloodthirster initial shield so high that he thinks that he doesn't really need to start off with Kraken Slayer or Gale Force or whatever he wants to on the Xayah, as Sheepo would be kind of an unusual option. Regardless of that, mythic passives are a bit overweighted, and he just wants to go for this one.
Could be a catch, and there's Killer Queen. He's in trouble. Gonna get a huge cyclone. He's going to just survive. No, that's so tragic. Fook will pay instead, and Nagira is just gonna continue running down Sora. They had a perfect catch, but the monkey just runs away. Now Pudding is gonna get caught up by the Ruthless Predator. The hook will flub from B, but it doesn't matter. Nakia just runs him down in his own base, and it's just gonna back.
Herald? Are they ending? They have a Herald for 4 members dead.
They have Rift Herald. They have a teleport from Nagia.
He just based as well. They go for it. They are going for it for sure. I mean, it would be like an almost historic early finish, right? I mean, we have seen IG SKT, but this is something
gonna kill Fook again.
Fook just died. Oh, okay.
That's another tower, but now some more engages. They've run out of Rift Herald. They are going to off right now. The response is still quite short, of course, as you would imagine, but they still have pretty much full health bars, and Killer Queen should have died.
Yeah, he should have died. I also think he just went out to protect a perfect game potentially on their side, and otherwise he would just kept diving with the Cyclone. Either way of that, you will see Glory flashed him as Fuquan dies, as well as Jane, who kind of wanted to feel protected by this front line, but there wasn't really anything of resembling of a front line for them, as Nagia is very, very hungry on the Reluctant Plush, just keeps chasing down Pullin. He even holding Cleanse and Flash as long as he could, not even using Cleanse. He still has it up right now, as we say that, and just dies to the Reluctant damage. And now Soul Point picked up by Team Wales. One Nexus turret falling, not a historically fast finish. And I also like the caster call, speaking of, they went out of Rift Herald, like it's a resource bar or anything, like mana or something. They went out of Rift Herald.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The perfect game is also going to be denied by Yoshino, just split pushing in that top lane. Was not able to participate at all in the kerfuffle down in the Rabat River, so he gets a turret for himself. That's going to be a nice bit of money back for Team Flash, only in the sense of they get the gold bounty on top of it, but Yoshino has apparently done a lot of damage to Nagira over the course of this game, but it hasn't really turned into anything effective now. Now Nagira is stepping up to the plate. Will he die to the catch?
I probably won't. He has a Fury, he has a Dominus, he can just easily...
Here now.
That's the problem with the Reluctant when he's ahead, but you need to kind of one-shot him, and if you can't, he will just sustain back up with the Caldermeek and just getting the HP from his ultimate, so you can't really do much against him. He's currently, right now, with the way Team Flash is lacking damage, both a tank and an assassin against you, that's kind of hard to deal with, as Super Minions in the mid lane are streaming in. I mean, Team Wales doesn't even need to force anything, but they probably still can.
They want to just show Killer Queen, sort of let them know we can dive you. And with that showing, Flash gives up completely. Of course, they have super minions to deal with at 20 minutes in the game. Baron has just spawned onto the Rift. Might not be the angle for Team Wales to go for it just yet, considering that could be the opportunity to make a throw. But they're just going to keep the pressure on this top side. Just going to keep Killer Queen lurking.
Yeah, they have no reason to stop the pressure either. I mean, with Baron just not spawning, they just probably pan away and just instantly go for this Baron. Super minion is pushed in the mid lane, and with a dive on the tier 2 turret potentially, right? I mean, the threat usually is more scary than the dive itself. So both sides probably happy with the way it played out, and it just being this one turret being taken 14 Wales as this Baron is getting started off. B and Glory are lurking though. So if there would be Fook 1, 0-5 on the Vi, would be going anywhere close to that, he would just get blown up for the 6th time this game. And so he probably knows it as well. Team Flash not contesting it. The Baron being taken now, and now Team Wales can just do whatever they want, right? Just keep sieging or just go for the Ocean Soul. I mean, Ocean Soul not really the best one, as we highlighted before. Anyway, any soul would be very, very strong. They would still like to have it, as Yoshino grabs the 2nd outer turret and another objective bounty for their side. In the bigger scheme of things, this won't change much, I guess so.
In the end, they're keeping the gold lead at a close 10k. Our Team Flash, but now they're gonna lose the turret, and if they're gonna continue pushing on, 2 inhibitors down at 21 minutes, this should be so nearly impossible for Team Flash to get onto to try and defend. Vince still just plugging away towards his Navori. Still, yeah, I'm still just flabbergasted at this build. It's so strange to see.
Yeah.
But Killer Queen decides he wants to go to game 2. It's not going to happen.
B!
Oh, the hook does land. Goodbye, Fook 1. He's going to get absolutely torn apart. Nagir in the front line. Yoshino tries his best, but cannot kill the Crocodile. And with that, the Baron is too much. They can't quite clear it out. The teleport coming
Flash Tibbers.
Flash Tibbers gets down, put in, and they're going to easily clean this one up. It was over for a while, but now the finishing touches have been placed by Wales.
Yeah, absolute domination in this first game. 16-0 in kills, and they could have taken the sword if they wanted it, but they didn't really need to do anything around that area, as 2 side lane split push turrets from behind with bounties being on for Yoshino is all countable stuff that Team Flash got in this first game. And I mean, I expected Team Wales to win, but I did not expect them to win as dominant as this at all.
No, especially looking at that start. We saw very, very good top lane sort of coming out from the side of Yoshino, and then all of a sudden got solo killed. After that, it just sort of fell apart, and you can sort of see everyone did a hell of a lot of damage, except on the side of Wales, rather, and then just poor Fook.
Poor Fook. 1k damage on the Vi. It's
Fook
getting close.
1K.
Yeah, it's getting close to the area of blank 612 back in the day from the LCK.
Oh,
Where he played the jungle jacks against Afrika. That's kind of like how the performance can really be summed up. But it's poor Fook, right? It is his best champion that he just gets humiliated like that. That definitely is something that that he especially needs to forget very, very quickly. And as I correct myself, it is 17-0, not 16-0 for Team Wales. And this gold graph is also speaking one language, right? It just goes into one direction, and has like the steepness of the curve changes, but aside from that, not much changing really. And Team Flash got absolutely nothing in this game.
No, they're gonna have to completely rework their strategy. They're gonna have to go straight back to the drawing board, burn it, find a new drawing board, and come back for game 2 and hope it's a lot closer.
Yeah, let's hope that they will do that, as we are also coming back for game 2 and are going into a short break right now. So stay tuned, and we will see each other in around 10 minutes. So until then.
to the VCS week 4 day 1. We saw Wales absolutely crush Team Flash in that first game, and this time around Team Flash are looking to bounce back hard and fast. We're into draft. Bans looking much the same, just the ante off the table for the as Wales make their way to red side, sorry. And a first pick Jace is flexible, but very likely to land in the hands of Yoshino. And Wales looking to respond with Zaya.
Yeah, Wales definitely valuing the any pickup very high, as they respect it and bet it away. If they are on right side, also picking the Zaya early up, as it just now wasn't a, gotta say, good performance by Vit, to say the least. Good to very good in my opinion. Maybe even already being paired up by this Nautilus, but they can of course just now lock in something like the Wukong for Killer Queen yet again. It looked great in the first game, and I would be shocked to see it taken away. So Killer Queen locks it in again for himself, and now he's kind of daring Fuquan, right? I mean, you might just pick Vi again, but I'm not quite sure if you are very confident in picking up the same matchup.
Yeah, there's lots of options. Sejuani, of course, still available. Plenty of things to go for, but after the pinch that was placed upon Putin, I definitely understand them just trying to grab that lane they want to play through straight away. Zeri, Lulu, easy done, easy come.
Zeri Lulu will be their pickup, also scaling much better than the Lucian army would however do in the first game. But now of course for the side of Team Wales, they can just still lock in Beast Nautilus yet again, having a strong engage support to draft it into the two. Actually yes, Rakad is open, but Nautilus is also open. And I mean, why change what worked in game 1, right? I mean, they so far didn't have to adapt anything. They will find a new mid lane pickup, as Annie of course got taken away, and with maybe some top lane bans on the side of Team Flash, they could draft a very comfortable lane for Yoshino and his Jace.
Yeah, there's a few bans you have to consider. Sion, I mean, but of course you could just play any old tank. Sion is good. Malphite got buffs on the 13.4, so definitely a big an option there. And junglers look to be the target now, trying to force Fook perhaps back onto that Vi, where he really struggled in that first game. But taking away the big ones like Lee Sin, just seems to be the angle.
Yeah, taking away the Lee Sin. Gragas already being taken out, which would be one of the other jungle options that could work on the current patchup. Maybe something like the Viego even, that has kind of risen to priority yet again, with the crit scaling being buffed on the Blade of the Wood King, with not being the item, but the actual Q spell from Viego, which has the same name of course, as Viego also, yeah. They seem to agree with me, and they banned that away from Fuquan, so Vi would actually be the next best option for him. Not just because he's comfortable on it, but it's just also the only really meta jungler left on the table here, as the priority from Maokai and Elise are kind of diminished so far. So for the side of the Wales side getting taken away, as you told it, they could just... What do you pick against Jace here? I mean, Fiora would still be open, but they can also still play Renekton, right?
I think you play Malphite. Cassante is also an option, of course. Nagira is a great Cassante, so can't complain. But of course, this Jace can still flex, so Malphite this early might have been a bit of a trap, for sure.
Yes. Cassandra could also still go mid lane, by the way. But either way, with Glory, I don't quite expect it as much. I mean, it's not Froggy, so... On the side of Team Flash, what do you really want on the competition right now? Oh, the cannon would be interesting. I mean, you addressed it earlier on Twitter, right? With T1 flexing the cannon potentially. But it actually was a very early picked up top lane cannon, actually. But for Team Flash, with a later pickup, cannon and Jace can just flex between each other, right?
Yeah, cannon can... I mean, it's not 13.5, so the buffs haven't come on through for cannon yet, but... We saw just earlier today Zeus absolutely putting Kana in the dirt in that 1v1 with this cannon. It hasn't been so hot in the VCS so far, and linking up with that Maokai. Okay, lots of lockdown, big AoE team fight available for the side of Flash. How does Wales want to respond?
I at least want to pick a mobile mid laner with getting some AP in the competition, as so far they only showed Wukong and Zaya, and they need some AP damage source, or at least some magic damage source, and it will actually be the Arwi, which is a champion that kind of gets played here and there, right, and can definitely with a Spirit Rush deal a little bit with a cannon diving onto her, or also a Maokai going for the twisted advance, you can maybe even bait him mid-air to go all the way under your own turret or into your own team, where he doesn't really want to be as much, and RV one way to one of the competition. Also a pick that kind of gets mid lane priority relatively easy with the Q AoE spell, just roaming through those waves and then just making it sure that Ari can roam to the top lane, to the bot lane to really impact the game. And it will still not be an easy game for Yoshino and the boys on the side of Team Flash to equalize the score to a 1-1.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward composition though for the side of Team Flash. So if things remain close as it progresses, I would favor them a little bit more and more just on the ease of execution. But as we see it, things are locked in. Not much has had to shift. Just the solo laners from Team Wales. So maybe that bot lane focus once again. If B and Vit can land that CC like they did in their first game, could be just another immense snowball coming out from the side of Wales.
Yeah, that's the thing I like from Team Flash, that they just now at least drafted a late game insurance policy with this very dual bot lane, but also like they didn't really force a lot of changes for Team Wales, and Team Wales absolutely stomped game 1. So let's wait and see how it plays out in the second game as we load onto the Rift for Team. Oh, I just did wrong stuff. Yeah.
So we're looking on to the rest for game 2. There we
go. For game 2. Yeah, we are not going back into the draft with having weird ass music going on. Either way, we just go onto the Rift, and Nagia took the first little bit of poke from Yoshino. Actually, was on the top lane cannon, so they want to have the cannon against the Cassandra, which makes sense, of course. Cassandra can easily rack up a good early armor values, but not as much for the MR department, so Cannon being up there makes sense. Actually, it was an auto attack that he landed. I mean, Cannon hasn't leveled a spell so far, as we see here.
Yeah, just auto attack and Dairy doing its thing. I like to see the aftershock coming through from Fook 1 will be a much more tanky Maokai, rather than these phase rushes we've seen before, or the first strike. We'll have to see how he continues along his build path, because we've seen a lot of junglers still go for that demonic embrace rush, even though it got pretty heavily nerfed on the Maokai. So, as we move on, just some topside starts. Once again, bot lane looks like it'll be the focus for this game. And as we can maybe get a look down to see perhaps some hooks flying out. Does not seem to be the case this time around, as once again Sora going for the relic shield just to try and keep himself a little bit tankier, a little bit healthier, but this time damage should stick a bit better for Team Wales without that healing to function.
Yeah, and also what we often see on these support enchanters is that they actually go for bone plating, which seems like a rune that doesn't really make much sense initially, but you see also bone plating from Pullin. But it's just that much damage reduction in the early game to make these early all-ins not really possible, as here we see B and Vid not really approaching this lane very much. They respect the level 2 coming out earlier for the side of Zeri Lulu, which seems a bit weird, but that's just the nature of this matchup, and with a few levels being in, it will be better for the Zarya and Nautilus lane. I mean, we just now saw in game 1 how deadly it really can be, but so far they have to respect what Pullin and Zora can do.
It seems like this time around they couldn't land the early hook to force priority, and also Zeri level 1 is pretty strong with that right click, of course, being able to just chunk out a decent amount of health. Right now, a good hook will land, but as it goes through, just not a lot traded back. That's a good full pull through though.
Yeah, and also through the bone plating. I mean, this was with bone plating. Without bone plating, the Sora would be chunked even lower, and there we see how paper a support Lulu can really be, as Mid and B can farm those next few minions. We see how they really play out this lane. Glowy in the mid lane, I talked about this. Getting the priority, landing the charm, yeah, also the Q, landing on both sides. So Glowy leading in both HP and the minion wave control. So he's up to a good start, even against his Jace, who's also far from a big early game jungler. Oh, that looked weird.
Scar Award coming through from Killer Queen. But it's fine. He has moved in, he's taken the crab, and has set up a decent amount of control for the bot side. So Vish and B can feel free to push this out. They're a little bit cautious.
Those scour wards shouldn't happen anymore, right? You just know, I mean, on the last patches, I see I get an indicator where the ward will actually show up, so this really is just negligence on the side.
The man says smart cast on. I don't know what to say.
Like, they made it even easier for you in the recent patch, that's why I'm surprised. It's kind of ironic that this happens to a pro player.
Yeah.
Like, by now I can do that, and I am very bad at this.
Yeah, the smart cast. When you smart cast your wards, you don't get an indicator. I suppose that's all I can say.
Yeah.
Just stuffs it up a little bit, but it doesn't matter. He worked around, kept it all safe and sound, and the wave just gets to play a little bit of ping pong back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, one last statement to this ward placement thingy. I think you have two options. Either you use the indicators, or you know your stuff. And Killer Queen just had neither of those. Either way, Yoshino knows his stuff and how to push in the Cassandra as a cannon, and this looks very rough for the Cassandra early on. And he's down almost 2 full waves of minions, at least in the CS department, not in the experience department at least. And he's just happy to hit level 6 as soon as possible so he can be a champion in this lane.
Yeah, he really just struggling, trying to get as much as he can, trying to farm with the Notorful strikes. Killer Queen was in the area, could have tried to do something to relieve pressure for his top laner, but decides not to bother. And Yoshi's gonna have fun, just have a free time beating up on this poor Cassante.
It's also a Cull on cannon, so he's not even going for the aggressive build. He just goes, yeah, this will be a free lane. I just free farm and get 300 extra gold as soon as I cash in those 100 stacks, and he's almost halfway there, so that's going pretty quickly as well. As we see Glowy and Jane training a little bit. Glowy losing a little bit of his wave control as Jay's got a few levels in. Glowy maybe face checking something that he shouldn't face check though, but he gets the ward just in time and steps back.
Had flash, had spirit rush. Looks like he's trying to sort of perhaps bait there, but Killer Queen is on the wall, so interesting. As it is right now, it's a small gold lead to the side of Flash, and that is entirely that top lane lead, because poor Mr. Nagira is just getting bullied around. It will be that demonic embrace rush for Fook 1 with that blasting wand in hand. It means these saplings are going to be a little bit annoying, but still not quite as effective as he could be in the very early skirmishes.
Yeah, I mean, they nerfed this demonic embrace build, and rightfully so. I mean, before it was just the Maokai saplings basically being like mobile Teemo shrooms that chase you around and chunk you to like almost your entire HP bar and slow you while doing that. That was not so nice. So that being nerfed made a lot of sense, but of course, tanky Maokai builds still playable. Demonic embrace first. I mean, I think the item just in general is just too strong to not build. I mean, it's still just decent tankiness, some AP, some burn damage. Still basically all the stuff you want, despite it not being as strong numbers wise. It's still the best viable option to go as the first way.
Right now, just Killer Queen sort of pathing back and forth through the river, trying to make sure he can give his lanes the priority and the safety they need. It's not quite working out for poor Nagira on the top side, down at 20 CS at this point, and really just trying to scrounge all he can get. If he hits level 6, there is the potential for a play if he lands the full combo, but just struggling to keep up at the moment. And
they're both level 7. Yeah,
nothing's
happening. By now, I mean, it should be possible because they actually hit level 7 already. So in that regard, it's looking fine. But I mean, it's Yoshino really bullying the early game by going Source Force shoes early, even to just nullify any bits of MR that have been already bought by Nagia, as you see him already going for Mercs and the Ruby Crystal with Jane here. Clearing this minion wave, and the lanes just kind of scaling next to each other. No early aggression so far from the side of Team Wales and Team Flash.
From Jane.
Much better start to the game than last game for sure.
Oh, for sure. Rift Herald is now on the table, 8 minutes in, and nothing has happened. Huge control from the side of from the top lane should make this pretty comfortable for the side of T1, and especially with Glory getting chunked out by these saplings. I don't think you can really contest this at all unless you brought everybody, but nope. The entire bot lane rotates from Team Flash, and it's gonna be a nice, easy Rift Herald for them, as the lanes just cannot keep up, especially this top side. Just getting a little bit out of control, and good trading. Just setting up a nice objective take for free.
Yeah, I think they actually tried to contest it on side of Team Wales, but this Empowered Shock Blast chunking Glory was kind of the deal breaker over there. They were like, nah, we can't really fight this. And I think even without that, it's not a good fight to take. I mean, especially if this top lane pressure being so huge. When Yoshino was already there, and Nagia had the choice, either drop the whole wave, which is very bad, or don't drop the whole wave and just not be around for Herald. So you just, use the conclusion that you just have to give away this Rift Herald, and with that, it's one small lead being picked up by the side of Team Flash. They have a very good start to this game so far. Gotta say though, mid lane, I don't know for why that has to happen, but it's somehow 20 CS down. That seems a bit too much for me, even in a match that should be slightly RV favored.
Yep, Glory just has shown pretty consistently. He's historically been one of the best laners in the VCS, and putting it to good use against Jane, one of our new players here. And Team Wales want to start something on this dragon, but the pressure is not in their favor in these lanes. So right now we see Glory stuck on the tower, could look for a wraparound, but now it's just going to be a bit of a back and forth. Reset come through.
And Team Wales
just being a nuisance.
Team Wales should hurry, because if they take too long a time, then Putin would just be in position to really fight with them here. So he just now grabbed this bot lane wave, and maybe they actually try to contest inside of Team Flash. Fukwan can just easily walk up, but not quite fast enough to go for the smite fight. So it will be Team Wales to take their first pickup of this game, and with that, game kind of in an even state, and a much closer game than the first game for sure. And that's of course a welcome surprise.
Yes, it is. Just nothing really lost for the side of Team Wales, and Nagia able to get back a little bit for himself on this top side. Still struggling immensely as we're seeing the lane swap come through. Okay, ultimate force from Glory. He's gonna go in, misses the Q. So in the end, just an ultimate forced out by Jane.
It could be huge. An
attempt, but that's going to be a big turnaround, and there's the flash, not much done. Glory saves his own, and first blood and a bunch of tower plates going to go straight into the pockets of this Jace.
And this is huge. The Hell Charge will at least get 2 platings down here. And already, I mean, Team Flash was propelling this game with his top lane being working out as well as it should. And you called it ultimate being forced out by Glow, but I'm not quite sure if it was really forced. It to me looked like Glowy was trying to force a 1v1 play just because he felt like it and thought he could kill Jane in the 1v1 over there. But B is very trigger happy.
Does land, and here's Killer Queen to follow it up. They can't get through the tanky Fook 1, not through that wild growth, and now Vit's here. They have some damage, but Killer Queen's just going to die first. Now Glory's in, he misses the charm, rather it's flashed away, and in the end, Team Wales try to get back, but just overforce onto the tankiest member they possibly could have gone onto.
Yeah, they just go in and deal no damage and then just die themselves. It's like Team Wales think that they are Team Sharks or something, but they didn't really have any bite in that left, as we see Jane TPing back to the lane, finishing his Eclipse, and overall it's almost 3,000 gold by now. I mean, the Drake, of course, being a small consolation prize for Team Wales, but it just didn't need to happen. Be flashed for this, of all things. And it's just Fook 1 being targeted. Fook 1, I mean, it's AP Maokai, but it's still tanky enough to really, like, survive this initial engage. And,
still has everything,
yeah. Vit tries to go in offensively, can't really finish anyone off. Glowy also going for a flash charm. Nearly getting it done, but not quite. And with that, Team Flash propelling ahead of this of the second game.
If that hook had landed on Sora, it might have been something, but of course that flash away just put it all in the dirt for the side of Wales, and they're gonna just keep doing their best, try to find some picks. They still have, of course, that opportunity with how strong their composition is at finding them, as we saw in that first game. Vit this time around going for a much more standard build. Gale Force complete. Right, as his first item. So all in all, it's a pretty decent lead. It's 3,000 gold for the side of Team Flash, and it's looking a little bit like the reverse of last game. Maybe not quite to the same extreme, but
not at all.
unable to find anything at this stage.
I mean, they don't really have much things that are really countable on the map right now. I mean, it's really just a Drake, right? I mean, they haven't really gotten many turret plates or even a turret or any kill whatsoever. They are so far just now watching as Team Flash is kind of scaling against them, and especially if it's very Lula in this game. They have the insurance policy for the late game, so it will be fine. Even the J is also very much strong in the juice with these turret plates. I mean, 1k to a single turret plate being taken by Team Wales.
Yeah.
That's looking pretty rough. Put in now being able to secure this top lane tier 1 turret to even extend their gold lead a little bit further. And for the side of Team Wales, what can you really do? I mean, you really need to find a pick with your pick potential. Nautilus, Ari with a charm still being on your side. Also Killer Queen with a good cycle can maybe make something happen. But not on the Aftershock Maokai, please. You really need to find either Sora or Puddin probably. Maybe even Jane or Yoshino. But anyone but Fook.
And now the depth charge will come down. He's going to use the Slicing Maelstrom to clear the wave. The ult does miss from B, but the hook does miss from B rather, but it doesn't really matter. That's a quick pick up. That's a kill over to Nagia, which he will greatly appreciate, having fallen 50 CS down. But what gets lost on the other side of the map, the mid lane tower, Jane just able to push through that with his Eclipse already built up. And they commit to a decent play, but as it is, Flash is just in a good spot to respond instantly.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, at least they show like some signs of life of getting the kill onto Yoshino, and they also clearly execute that dive. With Yoshino not being able to really do anything about it, but they also spend so much resources on it. Mid lane tier 1 turret falling is very, very detrimental to the overall map control, so this one definitely hurts in their side. As the next Drake is spawning in a few seconds, Team Flash already being on it, and Team Wales have nothing to say against that. I mean, they probably do, but they can't really do much about it, so they just decide to not contest it whatsoever. And Team Flash having a great game. I mean, I can't really highlight it enough. And for the side of Team Wales, what can they really do? I mean, they can just still can go for picks like they did beforehand, but so far, it doesn't really lead to anything.
Yeah, can't quite seem to put things together right now. They've got position on that Rift Herald, perhaps. The blue trinket does come down, so Flash knows to play very cautiously, but this objective might be something for them to turn into a greater advantage later on, but as it is, Flash should keep paying respect. They're not trying to contest. Hold that thought. They might go for the collapse though. Yoshino and Fook won. Yep, the engage comes through, but it's on to Killer Queen, and right now it turns around straight away. Glory gets a double Everfrost now. B trying to chase down, Pudding not able to happen. Nagia keeping Yoshino completely isolated on the top side, and it turns around. Flash are not able to get the collapse they wanted.
Yeah, Flash completely caught sleeping over there. I mean, they also built so many summoner spills, but we will probably get a replay of that one as Team Wales is just rushing down this Rift Herald. Team Flash then trying to pull the trigger pretty late on the Nature's Grasp from Fukuan, and Fukuan just gets singled out while the rest of Team Flash can kind of just watch. Yoshino also being singled out on top side, and they just try to fight it on two sides. You will see again, Rift Herald already being taken. Nature's Grasp is down. Cyclone to prevent more from happening. Vid quickly collapses onto him. Ever for some Glow by so much space. Glowy in general here. Good work on the Ari so far. And with that, Team Wales, another sign of life. I mean, the gold lead not extending, even shrinking a little bit. And another Rift Herald, which makes it that they will at least get one turret, a bit more map control, a bit more standing gold. Team Wales, I don't want to say it quite yet, but they look like they are back.
They're definitely showing that they're not out of the equation just yet, for sure. And it looked like, and I want to point out, Yoshino didn't actually have Slicing Maelstrom as it was forced down in that earlier play in the bot side. So that actually meant that the collapse, the pincer movement couldn't come through. Rift Herald will drop now and mid tower will be secured. And with those two towers in the bank, that will really help Team Wales even things out. Back down to just about 1.5k, but this could be a good pick. Glory misses. Oh. But the Everfrost comes through. B cannot get in place to put down a hook. If that charm had hit, though, that would have been a nice big pickup for Team Wales, perhaps.
Yeah, would maybe be the case, as the game kind of slowing down a little bit. Next Drake spawning in a bit more than 2 minutes. Baron will be up on the Rift in a few minutes, but with that composition, I don't think any team really wanted to tank this one up, as you will see again now. Glowy tries to go for the pick, misses the charm. Yeah, double Everfrost snare, which is kind of good, but yeah.
They just wanted
Ultimately,
to
not enough.
show B hooking a minion that was standing in front of him. Okay, that's tragic. That's
Maybe one of the
sad.
observers has personal beef with B, and just wants to make fun of him a little bit.
I guess so. They also showed his flash hook onto Fukuan earlier, so maybe B that just called him a mean name in solo queue or something. I don't know. But
I
as
mean,
it is right now,
I would be surprised if the
Sorry.
observers are in the same solo queue game as the pro players. But observers are really smart. I mean, the SK observers especially are known to be like very up in those
Yeah.
solo queue games where they use that game knowledge effectively to show the right things on the map. That's definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also the case in VCS. We don't quite know.
I know there's former pro players who have observed. I don't know if they still do, but they have observed LCS, I believe. Some of the early season 3 pros, but as it is, Towers has just been traded across the map. Gold, pretty happy for the side of Team Wales, because even trades like this, when you're behind, that's good for you.
Yeah, especially if you're behind, you can make good use of that gold lead not extending in any way. And I mean, despite the huge oppressive lead for the side of Team Flash, right now, I mean, we have an item, you have an item. It kind of equalizes itself. Vid also on the Gale Force Navo. This time he actually likes mythic items for some reason. Yeah, the first game he was up on very much different things as he went for Assets Reaver and the BT. This game, it's all different. Less lifesteal, but more in-your-face damage to really work with. As we see,
Yeah,
I mean, still 2 items on Jane and not yet on Glory, so it's still a big lead for Flash, gotta be honest.
Yeah, this is the Rift Herald fight. Yoshino is here, 2 items complete for this cannon, can absolutely tear through the backline of Team Wales if he gets a good angle. No exhaust to drop on top of him either. You're really looking for Nagia to try and push him away as the fight begins. That's your angle for Team Wales, and this is just a Chemtech Drake. This could be a big fight over not the best objective. Killer Queen
The
and
Blast
take
Blood.
a decent chunk of damage. And here comes the engage.
They catch Yoshino.
Twisting advance, but they've killed
No.
Yoshino. They just collapse on the flank and blow him up before he can respond. Now the dragon is open up. There's no hard engage left for the side of Team Wales, except a flash hook that misses. It's okay. Dragon and a kill. Team Wales coming up on top in these small situations. Just minor advantages.
And I hate to say it, but this is just one of those things that kind of differentiates the good teams from the not so good teams, right? Team Flash had an oppressive lead and they are just kind of dwindling it away. Yoshino getting caught like this definitely shouldn't happen. Are they going for desperation 20-minute Baron?
Okay, they're just turning on
It might work. Killer Queen is not in the area, and I'm not sure if Team Wales expect this, but this is a 3-man Baron. It takes half an hour to complete, and I think Team Wales, are they moving into it? I think B will spot it.
now.
Yeah. I don't think
Okay.
Flash can finish this one. This was so
Yoshino
dangerous.
Yoshino still has everything because of his instant death at the last fight, but they're pulling off. They don't want to go for the turn. They don't want to go for the commit. They get a teleport out in the gear,
Yeah.
and
That-
but they trade it for Yoshino's. So
Yeah.
Oh.
On the pro side, they get a teleport out of Nagia. On the contrary side, they get a teleport out of Nagia. For using that much time, using that many HP bars, and now having to reset themselves. That doesn't really seem well for a team that has to play from ahead and kind of should be in a position to really break open the game. And they're just kind of looking as Team Wales are clawing their way back into it, getting one Drake, getting another pick before the fight, and then ultimately it not really being a fight at all. Team Wales definitely look like they are back in control of this game despite being down in gold. And Team Flash, they seem kind of out of ideas to really snowball it here.
Yeah, there's nothing on the map save for this Baron. All outer towers are down, so you have to really commit to a deep push to try and get anything else really. So it's just gonna be seems to be a lot of posturing around this Baron. Bit of a ARAM in the mid lane, and nothing really coming to it. Team Wales committing the push down, be taking a little bit of damage from the cannon. But it's just Team Wales in control of these waves, especially the central one.
Yeah, Team Flash not really having a good idea here. And no mid-lane push coming through from Team Wales though, because it could just easily be wave cleared. We saw the Demolish Pox already being there from the turret, but no commitment from Team Wales. As the game just kind of slowing down even further. And that's of course something that Team Wales generally likes here, as they are of course behind. But gotta say that the scaling from the bot lane from Team Flash especially looks kind of disgusting, right? I mean, it's very Lulu. You still need to respect that in theory, and it might just all come down to whether B can find a good engage on towards either Pullin or Soa, or if that's not the case, or if they can get a pick up to Yoshin before fight again. And if the ultimates really aren't sick on sort of Team Flash, because despite them kind of dropping the ball here, they actually might be able to afford it as they are scaling so well with this composition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth remembering the stakes at hand for this team, for these teams. Whoever wins will go up to tie SBTC Esports, and both these teams have that 1-1, that 1-0 head-to-head record against them. They will technically also be above Buffalo, but Buffalo has yet to play today, so that will likely even up, or unless Bucks pull something out. But this time it's Team Wales starting the Baron. Yoshino is on the wrong side of the map and no teleport available.
Yes,
Just
no
sort of
TP
check,
available.
just sort of doing a damage check though.
Yeah, damage check and a reaction check as well. I think if they were probably like, if we start this Baron right here, will they react to it, and will they even be maybe even too nervous to pull the trigger and actually maybe even bait at the TP? But of course, Yoshino's TP not being up, so there was nothing really to gain there in this instance. And the damage check, it looked okay. I mean, they definitely chunked this Baron quite a bit with that. And if Team Flash would not be in the position to react to that, it might just be the Baron for Team Wales, with them completely then stabilizing the game, if they haven't done so already, right? I mean, Team Flash...
Imperial Mandate Maokai jungle?
It could be. I mean, he has a fairy charm that includes... that it will be one of those... how do I say it? Enchanter items. And it should be Imperial Mandate, right? I mean, what are the other options, really?
They already have
Runestone?
Shirelias on Sora, so I wouldn't expect double Shirelias. So Mandate is what you build on support, Maokai.
Yeah, maybe Mandate then, I guess. I mean, beforehand it was most likely Anvis, the heavy AP, but the heavy AP got nerfed, so you don't go a heavy AP anymore. Maybe Imperial Mandate will just be the Band-Aid fix to still be a damage-heavy Maokai. I mean, they don't really need more AP in the competition, actually. They have Zeri, they have Cannon. It's kind of okay. It could just be a full tank Maokai, and I would recommend it for him. But Fook1 seems to disagree.
Yep, but okay, Glory and Killer Queen sort of looking for a flank angle.
Oh, they got Fook!
Is in a dangerous position, and he is not very tanky. The Aftershock will do a little bit, but he has built no resistances, and that is Jungler off the board and Baron on it. Yeah,
Jungler dies right before the Baron, in a little sense, as this could just now be started by Team Wales. But there's still poke on Team Flash, right? It's still Empowered Shock Blast from Jane coming out, maybe even a potential Yoshino Cannon flank. And they get his Flash right now, yeah. And they should just do this game of start the Baron, bait a reaction from Team Flash, and then just keep pulling the trigger in these little extended skirmishes. And so far the Baron dropping to half HP. It should be ultimately the Baron for Team Wales, but Team Flash, of course, they want to force something. Yoshino goes in.
Oh, but he gets taken straight out by Nagia. The Baron does go down. Everything comes up Team Wales. Nagia perfect on that all-out, removing Yoshino's ability to get that slicing Maelstrom. They can always tower.
Such a good play. Like, Yoshino was about to pull off the very deadly flank with Blast Plant, Cannon in the backline for slicing Maelstrom, but all out really preventing it, as of course this Baron comes at one price. It will be the Drake going over to Team Flash, as Team Wales needs to either reset or push this top lane tier 2 to a bit. So at least the consolation prize on the side of Team Flash, but ultimately you're probably not happy with this. I mean, you had such a good gold lead, now you're back on even. Drake's score also evened out, but Team Wales with this Baron can do so much more. Still has 2 minutes on the buff and can push more of those inner turrets here.
Yeah, so far you got the even trade. You got that mid lane tier 2 tower, which is a really good pickup for Team Flash. Nagia looking for something, but as you said, Baron still available for 2 minutes. Definitely high opportunity for Team Wales to blow it open. They've got 1,600 gold out of it, and they're just looking for a little bit more. It's going to be a bit hard though. Good wave click from the side of Team Flash.
Yeah, definitely decent wave clear. On that side, the AP Maokai kind of better than the tank Maokai would be, of course, but regardless of that, we have seen these last few skirmishes where the non-tanky Maokai was kind of the problem, especially getting caught like that. And Pudding, I mean, Spark Touch is a good ability, right? You can just easily reposition to basically anything. As this inner turret gets taken out easily, and Team Wales can just move to the next one, right? I mean, there's still one sitting in the bot lane, and if they all group up for this one, Team Flash cannot really step up. If they would be inclined to respect the dive, and with this turret looking like a formality, or does it? Half of his HP getting taken out pretty quickly, and yeah, they will just easily take it here.
Yeah, pretty decent wave clear, and not the longest range on Team Wales, but now perhaps looking for
catch.
Flank catch onto Yoshino. Doesn't even get this Maelstrom off once again, failing to use that ultimate to try and defend himself. And if they can, someone buff that top mini wave mid. Okay, they're not going to, but they're going to crash
TP.
this one, teleport as well, just keeping the pressure on.
They'll just go for the inhibitor, I think. I think if Beast Hook hits and they just easily get another catch, they just go for the end there. But that's not happening, so it will just be, in quotation marks, only be in the inhibitor, but Yoshino getting called out again. Kind of sad to see, but of course the catch potential from Team Wales is definitely respectable. We addressed it earlier. It's Everfrost Ari, it is a Nautilus, it is a Killer Queen of the Cyclone, and even Nagia has some sort of CC in his arsenal, as well as Vid would have with the Blade Caller. There's just so much that can potentially catch you out, and that's just now what happened to Yoshino. Also, I think not ulting is fine there. I mean, it would just be a waste anyway. He doesn't really kill anyone at this point of the game, is what I think. But with that, Team Wales starting to get really good control of this game. Now being in the gold lead, having this inhibitor down. And it is an inhibitor close to the Drake, so it will not be that big of a deal. But you still don't want to fight against super minions if you're Team Flash here.
Yeah. However, given it's 2 for 2 and Drake's, and the time is relatively synced, it could be an issue as it comes towards Baron. And yeah, as it is, they pick up a number of towers. Does Team Wales pick up 4 overall, I believe? Yep, 3 outers and 1 inhibitor. So just a lot of health coming, a lot of gold. I'll get there eventually. Coming in from Team Wales. And now we settle down for a little while as we wait for the next objective to spawn. Side laning AD carry is gonna make the incursions a little bit less threatening from Team Wales right now, but they get to just sit here and make sure they own this topside jungle, and when the Baron spawns, they can just move up and take it with ease.
And Chloe even TPing to that ward to be just a bit faster with the push, so they have a sync push in both mid and top lane, as bot lane of course already keeping Yoshino busy with the super minions alone. It's here Nature's Grass cut out pretty early though.
Nature's Grass comes out, but everyone's able to disengage.
Chloe flash charm.
Chloe misses everything.
No, that's not fair, Barbie. Come on.
No,
he instantly forces a flash. That's not a miss.
Basically, I'm just trying to say he doesn't land anything. Nothing connects.
That's true.
I was going to say he missed.
Not debatable.
I was going to say he missed the Everfrost, then he flashed. So I was halfway through a sentence, all right?
Okay, sure. Sure. Poor Glory.
He's going for a Lich Bane.
That's an item? I didn't know.
What is with VCS players and building weird? They just go, I feel like a random Lich Bane today.
I'm thankful for him because that just reminds me of the item existing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that. As Lich Bane kind of got made opposite by Shadowflame, but he just has both. I mean, it adds something to his burst combo. I don't hate it even. I mean, he probably could make different stuff with this magic gold. Maybe just go for death cap components. But for the power spike right now, it's probably very, very strong.
Yeah, if he was, I'd like to see him maybe if he was side laning a bit more. I'd definitely understand it for the tower taking potential. But right now, Dragon was up. Dragon was taken without any real contest, as Team Flash wanted to just make sure that Baron was not as easy to get. Glory dash in, lands the Everfrost, lands the charm. Everything catches onto Jane this time. And now with the mid laner down, Glory is still hunting. He's wrapped around. He might have done a bit too far, but it's just Fook and Sora. And now the collapse onto Pudding. He's gonna dash
Yoshino!
over the wall. And there's a huge slicing maelstrom. It picks up 2, but can he survive against Vit? Vit is going to just lose out. And Fook is lasting forever. Killer Queen is going to turn it back around, and now it's just a Lulu left. In the end, Team Wales do win, but it is much closer than it needed to be. They have a Super Minion wave pushing. They're gonna go for the end.
I think they go for the end. Yeah, it's Super Minions and 2 members against just 1 Lulu. Sora really needs to be the hero in this moment for the Team Flash. It's just kind of sad because this fight is looking very good for the side of Yoshino, getting the triple kill in the back line, with Glowy extending very, very far. But speaking of that Glowy, he's very, very low HP, and this will not be the end of the game. A TP flag even coming out, Jane can just...
Teleport from Jane!
Can he kill Killer Queen?
Glory was spotted, but it is a Nari, and because he went back, Killer Queen also gets out. But it's both inhibitor towers fall as the Super Minions take it down.
Both Nexus turrets even. That definitely hurt, and I want to see that fight again. Yeah, because it looked kind of good by many players there. I mean, Glowy's initiation was kind of decent. As here we see again a player here. Yeah, he's what I'm talking about. Just baits out the Edge of Night shield first with the Q. I mean, it's not really a bait, it's not an active. But either way, he gets down the shield, then just follows up with Everforce. The cone lands, he can just charm up, and there he kind of overextends too far.
The teleport.
Yeah, Glowy could actually go into Fook and Sora, but the problem is he should be there for Yoshino to charm him if Yoshino dives the backline, and then Yoshino actually gets the backline access, so the fight is a lot closer than it should have been, with Yoshino making the best out of it.
The hook lands onto that Edge of Night, and
again.
The Maelstrom is huge once again. Killer Queen does survive, or goes into that Guardian Angel, and now Fook is dead, so is Yoshino. That's 2 for 1. Glory is running away from Pudding right now. They have to be so careful.
It's overall trade deal that you can, of course, go on with just sacrificing B to get both the jungler and Yoshino down. So this Smite being not able to be used. It could just be the Baron for Wales, but their HP bars are so chunked that they still play against Jane and Pullin, so it's too hard to just instantly force a Baron, and Team Flash is making a stand from behind here and just being able to make good use of this kind of ultimate. And Yoshino is close to finish his death cap. He would be even scarier if he finishes that one. And this game not over yet, even if it looked over a few seconds ago, with the Nexus being very, very exposed on the side of Team Flash. So maybe around Seoul will be the next big fight. Gotta say though, for Team Wales, at some point it would be lucky for them if both objectives are there, because they can get either one, and I think they are very happy with either one. I mean, they could get the Chem Soul and trade it for Baron, or could the Baron and trade it for a single Chem Drake, which is something that they are very happy with.
Yeah, this time around, Yoshino doesn't have that flash, doesn't have it as easy to get on top of Team Wales. Nagia as well, we need to check him for that all out. It was great in that first Baron, able to remove Yoshino from the play, but now as we move back to Baron again, Slice Maelstrom is up, my bad. Everything is up, but no flashes for Yoshino. Gonna be hard to enter the pit. This Baron should just fall down before they even get an opportunity.
That's disappointing. They don't even try anything there. Just kind of watch as Team Wales can really finish it. And Wales, having all the time in the world to go for the reset, 1 minute for the next Chemtech Drake is on the timer, and they can just easily just shove the wave, then reset, and then go for the Drake area. Gotta say though, there's a little bit of a window to get the vision for Team Flash.
It's an exposed Nexus though, so they have to be really careful, because they can easily, and if they leave their base to Team Flash, they can very open up the opportunity for the Dragon. Fook 1, here comes the Nature's Grasp. Vit should be okay. Nagia able to tank that up. Glory in no man's land though, but it doesn't matter. Here comes the Cyclone, and Yoshino barely gets to use the ultimate. It doesn't do anything, and now Nagia's going to put in straight back into the team, and they just need an inhibitor, and they can easily finish this game. It's all up to Jane and Sora once again.
It's down to it. It's over.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Open Nexus. Jane gets 1 back, but now they're mad. They want to kill Sora. He stopped them from winning earlier, but it doesn't matter. Sora survives, but Team Flash does not. It's Team Wales with a nice 2-0 and a great great come from behind in that second game.
Yeah, very well played. And that's kind of what I addressed earlier, right? The difference between a great team and a not so great team. Team Flash not being able to snowball it, not really being clutch in that regard, and getting picked off, not really snowballing with their lead. And Team Wales on the other side, playing well from behind, not losing their mind, just going for pick after pick, and then get like the little wins first, and then later the big wins. And with that, Team Wales, yeah, securing themselves their third win. I think overall for the first 6 series and the expectations for this team, it's not even that overwhelming. I mean, it's kind of okay-ish, I guess. I think they expect more from themselves, but they, of course, are very happy to make this, first of all, considering the strength of schedule and the score itself, a close matchup, look like a very one-sided affair, and that, of course, speaks very much in their favor.
Yeah, it's really good for Wales as they wanted to be considered that playoffs team. They haven't made it to playoffs in their history, just narrowly missing out last split to SBTC. And this time, now they have evened the playing field. Should be looking at a tie with SBTC and Buffalo after this. Oh, sorry, Buffalo still has a game to play to get to that 3-3. And as we see here, lots of damage coming out from the side of Team Flash. But you can see as they got to a decent gold lead and then just slowly, they lost it. And the Baron has that big flip that just reverses the whole gold.
Yeah, it looked very, very scary initially, like at the 10-minute mark where it's like this steep curve of Team Flash snowballing. I think it was about the area where they were like getting this Herald charge and getting multiple turrets in mid and top lane, and of course earlier on having won those skirmishes. It looked very, very good for them, but ultimately not enough. I remember distinctively Yoshino being called out at this Drake area where they caught him like on the southern side of the Drake, and then not being able to make this Maelstrom fight possible. After the second Herald fight where Fook just gets blown up, the Herald gets rushed down by Team Wales from behind, and they just kind of walk away with murder there and kind of get away with that. Overall, though, Team Flash still not looking terrible in the loss, but it's just probably not good enough for these playoff caliber teams.
Yeah, they're definitely still in a situation where they looked fairly competitive in that second game. The game one was just a blowout from pretty much the moment from level one, so bit easier to write that off. And maybe if you're Flash, you're just sitting there going, you're currently just hoping to sit in that 5 and 6 range. Maybe playoffs isn't for you, but you can avoid that potential relegation spot as long as you stay above Team Secret, who you've already beaten, and Box, who you still have yet to play, but they are currently winless. So it's looking like you're favored there.
Yeah, definitely going to be the case as we are heading out for this one. And following up this day in around half an hour will be Box playing up against Saigon Buffalo. Must win for Saigon Buffalo, and maybe the first time for Box to even win a game in the VCS. So they look promising in some losses. So let's wait and see how this will play out. We will be back in around half an hour. So see you then.